Hi, my name is Shannon Eis. I am a mixed media artist. I use all kinds of different mediums. I teach classes on fluid acrylics, resin, and alcohol inks. And today we are going to be showing you a few different things that you can use from around the house to make an alcohol ink piece. If you don't have Yupo paper, you don't have a paintbrush, you don't have the things that you need to use your alcohol inks. You actually have plenty of things that you need to use your alcohol inks at home. The first thing I'm going to show you is saran wrap. If you want to do a cool background, or you can even twist saran wrap up and make little people with it or whatever. Alcohol ink dries pretty fast. So what I do is just, this is made with saran wrap too. You just take the alcohol ink and mix it with alcohol or whatever you want to do, kind of move it around the paper and throw some saran wrap on there, however you want to do it, and put a book or something over top of it and let it dry. And usually the next day it's completely dry. And this is all just marks from the saran wrap being on it. So it's actually a really cool tool to make texture and backgrounds. You can even make images with it. So we'll put that one aside. This here is a Yupo paper, and I'm gonna show you a few other things you don't need to use, or a few other things that you can use besides Yupo paper. But in this case, I'm gonna show you basically all this is the outline of rocks. So I put some rocks on here, put a couple drops of alcohol ink on there and squirted some alcohol on, moved it around a little bit and let it dry. And then when the next day when I dumped all the rocks off, there were these marks. And that's the same thing that I did to make this big monster one here too. And that's why these white rocks are now colored rocks. So just so you know, it's gonna stain anything you put it on. And these rocks actually are porous. I never would have thought that they were. These are white turquoise that I used just because I had an overabundance of it. But I'm glad that I did what I did, because I rinsed them off with alcohol a million times. The colors wouldn't come out, but they're so pretty. So you can use them for like plant fillers now. Here, to get this background, I just took a piece of foil and some marbles, put my paper in there or whatever surface you plan on using. And I only use the foil just to have walls up to keep my marbles in. I dropped alcohol ink on and moved it around a little. Then I threw a handful of rocks or marbles in there and just swirled them around until it was dry. Like that, and these marbles used to be clear too. So again, it will stain everything. And also you get to see what alcohol ink looks like on foil. And foil is a good thing to use too for a background. You can crumble it up and set it on your paper, just like you would the saran wrap, and it'll make a really cool texture on any surface that you have it on. Or you can just take the foil itself, because it's waterproof. You can paint right on the foil and it'll be metallic then too, because the foil is shiny and you'll be able to see it, because alcohol inks, for the most part, regular alcohol inks are translucent. You can also use it if you have stampers. So for another surface you can use, these are just report covers from the Dollar Tree. I think there's 3 in a pack. If you got any of those laying around the house, you can use one. I just like to wipe them off with alcohol to make sure there's no other chemicals on it before you do anything. And what I did, so this is the piece finished, but what I did was I just pulled this little thingy off on the side and then opened it up, and I did my alcohol ink piece on the inside of the one page, put a regular piece of white paper inside it, so that way you can actually see the alcohol inks, and then put this back on it. Or you can frame it just like this. So there's that one. Report covers, let me tell you, I was super surprised at how this came out. You can also use Dollar Tree picture frames or old picture frames you have laying around the house. I broke this one on accident, but what you do is you take the glass out and do your alcohol ink picture on the back of the glass. And then if You will try to seal it if you can. I'll go over sealing in another video. If you can't though, or you don't have the stuff to do it, it might not hurt it just to slap a piece of paper on the back of it. As long as it's not being touched, or it's not anywhere where it can be compromised, it'll be fine. I am going to be showing you a few things that you can use, a few different tools that you can use that you can grab around the house if you don't have the things that you think you need to make an alcohol ink piece. I've already went over surfaces. There are a gazillion things that you can use. Foil, anything that's waterproof, Yupo paper, plastic sheet, million mirrors, frames from around the house, anything that's waterproof. And what I'm gonna show you now are just some like quick things that I ran around the house and grabbed that you can use with alcohol ink. So first thing is a good old pen, marker, whatever, and just take a piece of fabric and tape it on the end or glue it on the end of the pen, and you can use that to dot your alcohol ink. I suppose I should have had some ready for me, right? We're gonna do purple on everything. Okay. So all this is just a little piece of felt taped onto the end of a Sharpie. And I'm gonna use it as a dotter. If you wanna cut out a little shape like a rabbit, because you want a bunch of rabbits, you could do that too. We're gonna put some purple on there, kind of get some off. And then I'm just gonna show you how you can dot with it. See how easy that is? You don't need paintbrushes, you don't need dotting tools. You can use, even if you don't have a piece of a t-shirt that you can tape on the back or tape or anything like that, you can use the Sharpie itself or the back of the pen, whichever, to dot. So I'm just gonna put it right in the alcohol ink, get a little off there, and then you'll have little circle rings with the end of that. Another thing you can do if you want big monster ones, tape some felt or other fabric on the back of another bigger pen, marker, and then you can go through. You can also make lines, draw, paint, just like you would with a paintbrush by doing this on the end of a pen or a marker. If you want to flow your alcohol ink around, you don't like the dots and stuff, just put some regular alcohol on there to give it a little bit of flow. Once it reactivates that alcohol ink, you can move it around to get some like wispy type designs on your surface, or you can blow on it with a straw. And the more you blow on it, obviously the drier it gets, but when you move this stuff around, it'll make like little pool puddle lines as it air dries. I put a little too much alcohol on there, so it's not gonna dry too fast. Now that I can't breathe anymore and I'm about to pass out, you get the idea. But you can also use a blow dryer or an airbrush or even canned air. You just gotta be careful so it doesn't blow it all over the place. Definitely start on low with a blow dryer and stuff too to get it to move around. So you get the idea for blowing air around. If you want to get like a different texture, you can take like an old paintbrush, a new paintbrush, a piece of fabric, a paper towel. The possibilities are literally endless when it comes to things you can find around your house to make different textures or make different pictures or pieces with alcohol inks. You can also put alcohol inks on cups, bowls, whether they're glass, plastic, or anything like that. As long as you seal them, they'll be fine to use later or give as gifts. What I'm gonna show you now, I textured this paintbrush I cut little strips out of there. It was just a regular fan paintbrush. And I'm just gonna use a different color on this so you guys can see. We'll use some more magenta. And I'm just gonna get the tips covered. And then all you have to do, is that wet still? No. All you gotta do is just kind of brush it on. And the surface is a little wet still, so you can actually see the wet alcohol that was still on there kind of made all those skinny little lines come together. So that's why you want to wait till your surface is completely dry before you add something else. And I think it's dry down here, so we'll try it over here. There you go, that's a better example. If you got old eyelashes laying around, glue them to something and comb it right on there. You can also use a comb to get kind of the same effect. Put some saran wrap over it, a tissue, but you can also use it the way that it is too. These here are dotting tools. I like to use these, but not everybody has them just laying around the house. So again, this is where you would go back. You can use the back of a pen, the back of a paintbrush, the back of your toothbrush, a screwdriver, a drill bit, whatever you want. Just wrap some fabric or tissue or a Kleenex or tissue or a paper towel or anything around it. Just soak up the alcohol ink and make it so that you can move it around. I'm going to show you how amazing a toothbrush can be. And we're gonna use this piece that's already dry here. All I'm gonna do is put some regular alcohol on the toothbrush. Once your alcohol ink piece is completely dry, are you on that good? Mm-hmm. Okay. You can just kind of like pull the bristles back and see what they're doing there. They're making all these little alcohol ink bubbles on there. And this is just regular alcohol ink kind of misting with a toothbrush over top. But you can also use, if you got a squirt bottle laying around, you can use a squirt bottle too. So that'll also reactivate your ink too. But just to give it a little bit more texture, you could do that. If you do a really light mist, and depending on what colors you're using, you can see them really, really well. I also have these little, you can buy these if you want to, but it's kind of the same idea as using the back of a pen or pencil or something with fabric. They're just dotting tools. And they have like a little, it's a piece of wood with a little sponge on the end. These are great for making bubbles or dots, balls. And they're really great for making giant alcohol ink tree pieces. And then good old Q-tips, cotton swabs, cotton balls, makeup applicators, sponges. Here's a sponge. I'm just gonna get it wet with some alcohol so that you can see what it's gonna do on this little guy that we just did. So you can erase with regular alcohol. You can use a sponge for that. Or if you want to get texture or you want to make something look a certain way, literally I'm just gonna stamp that right on there and you'll be able to kind of see the marks of the sponge in there. But you don't have to put just regular alcohol on here. You can put alcohol inks too. And you can also use plenty of other things besides regular alcohol that you have laying around the house if you are out. So I think that's it for tools. There literally is no end to the possibilities when it comes to finding things around the house that you can do alcohol inks or alcohol ink pieces with.